Still talking about football matters in definitely the southwest or the western, part of Africa. Let's talk about Nigerian football right now, and all attention is definitely concerning the Naija Super 8. Remember, the champions of the Nigerian Professional Football League for the 2022-2023 season, Enyimba Football Club, have also booked their place at the tournament alongside five other clubs, which are Katsina United, Lobby Stars, Ramo Stars, Yobe Desert Stars, as well as Rivers United. They've all clinched tickets to the Super 8. You had Enyimba urging out Heartland by a lone goal in a cagey affair to ensure that they are the ones who will be participating at the Super 8, which will take place from July 7th at the Mobolaji Johnson Arena in Onikon, Lagos State. Now, joining us to discuss this and more is Zazi Bariza, who is the media officer of Enyimba Football Club. He joins us all the way from Aba. Good evening, Zazi. It's good to have you on the show.
Good evening. It's great to join you on the show this evening.
Thank you very much. Let's begin with the match on Sunday, because it was in Never when right there. You had the coach, Finidi George, saying he wasn't really impressed with the play. What do you make of the team's performance on the day and how that translates to qualification for the Super 8?
Quite honestly, in terms of the performance, of course, there was so much left to be desired. But the ultimate thing is that the result was gotten, and considering also that the playoff fixture, it was very important to get the results which we got to qualify for the Naija Super 8 competition. Nobody is in a better position to evaluate the performance of the team than the head coach, Finidi George, who did not mince words about it, saying that, of course, he wasn't quite satisfied with the way the team went about the business. But at the same time, you want to understand there is a bit of hangover on these players. It's been a very hectic season. The regular season, of course, you know how it went, going through a very difficult group and going to the Super 6 competition, that's the championship playoff in Lagos, where the team played about 5 games within the space of about 7 to 8 days. So it was very demanding on the players, it was very demanding on the team, and they barely had a rest, had to play a game against a very competitive game. Of course, it's an off-season competition, but it had so much competitiveness in it, and of course against a rival. Don't forget Heartland I team that was not beaten in so many meetings. So it wasn't quite the most convincing performance for reasons we quite understand, but the good thing is we were able to get the result.
Okay, you preempted my next thought, which is your overall assessment of the Super 8. And I'm asking because the familiar foes, just as you mentioned from the championship playoff, you have Remo Stars in there, there's Rivers United as well in the mix, Lobby Stars as well right there for the Super 8. So what's your overall assessment of the competition for Enyimba Football Club especially?
For the Super 8 itself, we can't take away the fact that it's an off-season competition. So it means not to just go there and win the title. The whole purpose of this thing is to prepare teams for the upcoming season. We have a lot of competitions ahead of us next season, the CAF competitions and, of course, the domestic competitions. So it's very important that we are able to use every pre-season or off-season competition that we have to prepare ourselves. So we know there are very mouth-watering prize monies and, of course, all of those things to motivate teams to want to win. But the ultimate aim cannot be forgotten, which is to prepare for the upcoming season.
Okay, talking about preparations for the upcoming season, are we seeing new sets of players? And I need to ask you about Anthony Okache. That's the name that has been in the media for the past 24 hours. There were talks that Enyimba Football Club did table an official bid for the Shooting Stars striker, whose contract has run out at this time and is a free agent, amongst other details right there in the media. As an exclusive to News Central, can you tell us authoritatively that there's a bid in place and it will be an Enyimba player next season?
Well, it's the transfer season, of course, and you expect lots of news to fly around about players that are moving. It's something that we are no longer unfamiliar with. So I'm not surprised to be hearing, the news of players moving in and moving out and all of that. But I cannot rule out any possibility. That's what I can say about that particular news. I cannot rule out any possibility. Antonio Kachi, of course, it's a top player, a strong centre forward who has a lot of good qualities, and every team in the NPSL will be glad to have such a talented player. So I cannot rule out that possibility. But let's also understand that this is the period where transfer stories will fly around, both those that have substance and those that do not have substance. So at the end of the day, those that will go through will go through. The deals that will not go through will not go through. But you also asked another question about if there will be a wholesale change in our team. And I can tell you no, of course, because we've seen that the team, like I always mentioned, when we recruited last season, it wasn't just for this season, the just past season. It wasn't just for the just past season. We planned for the future. And we're happy that the young players, in some ways, many inexperienced players that we got are beginning to get into the rhythm. They are beginning to, grow into what we want, and it would be our delight to keep them together. We also understand that there are areas that need a little fortification. Of course, we have identified those areas, and those areas will be fortified, but generally want to keep faith with the team that we have and build upon the success of last season.
Okay, you've spoken well, the job requires of you. But let's end this discussion now with expectations. We know quite well that Enyimba Football Club is a very big club, not just in the Southeast, but all over Nigeria, and has a large fan base. So the question will be, what are the expectations of the team going into the Super 8? Is it a must-win tournament as well, considering, the mouth-watering prize money at stake? Remember, for the teams qualified for the Super 8, 9 million naira cash is guaranteed. And for those who get to the semi-final, you have an extra 3 million. The winners go home with 25 million, among other, prizes. So the question is, what should the fans expect, the Enyimba fans? What should they expect from the team at the Super 8 tournament?
Yes, the prize money, like you mentioned, is quite enticing. Everyone wants to have a bite of that cake. And it's very important because there is a business side of football. But like I mentioned earlier, we cannot forget the fact that at the end of the day, this is an off-season competition. So we have to try to balance things. As much as we want to win, we also have to use this competition to prepare our team, not to wear our team out, but to prepare the team. So we will, whenever we take on to the field, of course, we want to win matches, no doubt. We always want to win matches, but the ultimate aim, again, I would say, is to prepare ourselves for the upcoming season.
Okay, thank you very much, Zazi, for your time on the show this evening.